Okay, today I'm going to shoot a series of videos showing the first 50-hour oil and filter change on my Kubota tractor. This is a 2011 Kubota L3400. It's 4-wheel drive and it's a hydrostatic, and it has slightly under 50 hours on it, but I want to go ahead and do the oil changes, the fluid changes in it before the weather gets too bad. It's early December here in Michigan, and I know we're gonna be plowing snow here pretty soon. So the tractor's clean right now, and it's not too bad outside right now. So I figured I'd go ahead and do the changes on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'll take you into the other room here and show you the fluid, the oil and filters that I have to do this. And the three main parts to this video. There's going to be 3 videos. The first is going to be the introduction here and the engine oil change, and then it's going to be the transmission oil change, and then the front axle case oil change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the tractor up. I'm going to warm it up, and I'm going to do the engine oil first. I'm going to warm the tractor up, pop the hood up, and take these side panels off. And I'm going to go through and show how I change the engine oil on that, and then I'm going to do the transmission and then the front axle. And this is the first 50-hour oil change and filter change on that tractor. And the reason I'm making this video is leading up until now, I was looking on the internet and I was hoping that someone out there made a video on this. I'm doing the first change out, and I didn't really find anything. And I noticed that there's a lot of people on there that were asking, you know, does a video exist of that? And I'm doing it because there seems to be a lot of discrepancy between the manual, between what the dealer says, and even between the maintenance chart when it comes to how much oil, how many filters even, and how many drain plugs for the 3 main change outs. So I'm going to go through here and we'll start with the oil change, and I'll just list the discrepancies right now on the engine oil. For instance, the manual okay, this is L3400 4-wheel drive hydrostatic. The manual tells you 7.5 quarts. The maintenance chart tells you 6. The dealer at the time I bought the tractor told me 4. And the dealer, the time I bought all this oil and filters, told me 6. So, and the engine oil plug, the manual, it just describes one plug. And I'm going to look in here real quick. It keeps mentioning singular, remove the drain plug and reinstall the drain plug. But there are 2, and in this illustration here it does actually point to 2, but it may be confusing to some people when they're reading this and it just says remove the plug. So there are discrepancies like that I'm going to go through, and by the time I'm done here making these videos, we'll know exactly how much fluid goes in there, how many drain plugs there are, and how many filters. So, and I know that there's probably there's discrepancies here, because I realize that the dry, if it's a brand new engine with no oil in it, it's going to take more oil than an engine that gets it changed out. So we'll figure out exactly. I've never done this on this tractor, and we'll do all 3 change outs, and then we'll figure how much oil it's going to take, and I'll show you all the drain plugs and the filters and stuff. So I'll stop the camera right now. I'm going to go ahead and warm the tractor up and take the side panels off, and I'll do the oil change, the engine oil change first. So I'll show that, and then video 2 will be the transmission oil change, and video 3 will be the front axle. Alright? Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is change the engine oil. Now before I go ahead and pull the drain plugs and remove the oil filter, is I've got all my containers ready. These ones here are for the transmission oil, and this here is going to be the engine oil, and I have some rags there, and here's the new oil in the filter, I have 6 quarts here. So whatever I take out, that's what I'm going to put in, because even though there's all these numbers that say 7.5, 6 quart, 4 quarts. So we're going to find out exactly how much it's going to take. So the drain plugs, this is a 19 millimeter socket. I didn't have a wrench. I'd rather have a wrench, but I'm going to use this socket here. I warmed the tractor up. I took the side panel off. There are 2 wing bolts there. I popped the hood. And right here is how you check it. That's the dipstick. There's the oil fill. Here's the oil filter. This is on the right side of the machine as you're looking forward. And then under here, I'll show you the 2 drain plugs. There's one in each side of the pan, and that's the 19 millimeter one there, and then one right there. So I'm going to get the pan under here, get set up, and I'll start the camera back up when I start draining that. Alright? Okay, one thing I wanted to show you before I remove the drain plug real quick is I'm going to check the oil. Here's the dipstick. And there's the full. It's quite a range there between the low and the high. And it's probably about a 1/4 inch, a little bit more on the low side. Well, it's full basically, but it's just under this top tick mark. And it looks pretty clean actually. So I wanted to show you that. Put that back in. And then I'll turn the camera off and I'll get set up underneath, alright? Okay, I'm set up under here, under the drain pan here. We're looking forward. This is the right drain plug. There's one on the other side, but I'm gonna do this one. So this one first. I'm just gonna break it loose here. And I've got some gloves and a rag ready. Some rags ready. I'm going to do one side at a time so it doesn't overshoot this pan here. I don't know how it's going to come out of there. But the engine has been warmed up. It was running for 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know if that's a washer right there. Yeah, there is. That's a washer. There it is. Then I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to wipe my hands here. Not much. It almost seems like it's airlocked or something. Maybe I'll have to open the fill cap maybe. I'll do the other side. I'm going to open this fill cap. There it goes. Yeah, it was airlocked. Boy, watch when I put it back on there, it really stops it quick. So I'll set the cap aside and maybe put a rag over that. I'll let that calm down a little bit and then I'll do the other side. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side and do that plug. The whole reason, I guess, for this 50-hour change is to, it's the break-in period. So if there's any metal shavings in the oil, you get those out of there so you're not running them for another 200 hours. Okay, I'm going to slide the camera. Get this side here. I'm going to grab a rag first. Looks like there's a little copper washer on that drain plug. Be sure I get that. Okay, looks like it's contained. It's going to hit the pan, so that's good. So I'll let that drain. So I'm going to stop the camera right now. I'll let that drain. I'll put the plugs back in, and then I'll start it up when I do the oil filter, okay? Okay, I'm ready to pull the oil filter, and I have my new filter here, and I'll just read off the numbers on this filter. They're HH164-32430. So here's the original factory filter that was painted. I already broke it loose with this. This is kind of on the small side, but this is the only thing I have. I couldn't find my other oil wrench, but it worked. So I'm gonna go ahead and I made a little aluminum shroud here because I know oil's gonna drip from there right down into my oil pan here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this filter and pour it out into the pan. Hey, that worked. And I'll put the new one on. So I'm going to drain it out here. Wasn't much in it. So there's a shot of where it goes. So I'm gonna stop the camera. I'll go ahead and I'll put the new one on. Of course, I'll put a little bit of new oil on the rubber seal here, and I'll put it on hand tight, I think, and then they recommend a little bit more with the wrench. I'll have to look in the book there. And then I'll put then the next time I start the camera, I'm going to show the engine oil. We're going to see if there's any metal shavings in it, and we'll see how much came out of there, okay? Okay, I have the oil filter back on. What I did was I put a little new engine oil on that rubber gasket, and the manual recommends you put it on there until it touches, and then you go about another half turn. So that's what I did, just hand tighten it. So that's on, and I'll take you in the other room, and we've got, I know how much engine oil came out of here now. I've got this measuring cup here. I put 3 quarts exactly, and then I poured it into this gallon jug, and I poured the rest of this pan out, and it comes up just shy of the 3 quarts. So I'm fairly confident that I can put the 6 quarts in there. It'll be just fine because we were a little bit low on that on the dipstick. So when I put it in this gallon jug here, I happen to have this little filter. It's a paint strainer. I put it in that funnel, and I poured it in there. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pour this in, and then we'll see how much comes. If there's any metal flake or anything. If you look in the bottom of this pan, there's really not much. I think it's picking up the silver just a little bit. Those little dots. But it's not like there's huge chunks or anything, so I guess that's what you would expect out of a brand new engine. So I'll finish pouring this back in, and then we'll check that filter. Okay? Okay, I'm putting the last quart of oil in. I've got a nice clean funnel in there. It's a longer funnel, so it works well. And I already put a gallon of oil in a quart, and this is the 6th quart that I'm putting in here. Then what I'll do, I'll put the fill cap on, I'll start it up and run it for a few minutes, and then check the oil level on the dipstick. Okay, so that's the last quart. So I'll shut up the camera, start it up, and then I'll start the camera up one more time, and we'll check that. We'll check for metal and in that oil that we drained out. Okay. Okay, I put the 6 quarts of oil in it. I started it up. I checked for leaks, like on the filter and the drain plugs, and I ran it for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then I checked it, and I'm going to show you the dipstick right now. It looks like I need to put a little bit more in it. Here's the low, there's the high, and there's the oil level there, and that's a little bit lower than when I started. So maybe maybe there was a little bit more in that filter or something. But that's all right. I don't have any more 15W40 right now, but I'll just get another quart and add a third of a quart or a half a quart, whatever that takes to fill it up. But I didn't see any leaks or anything like that. So, I'll show you these floor mats before I go into the other side there. I made these floor mats. This model tractor didn't come with any, and I was wearing the paint off with my boots and stuff in the mud. So I found this rubber mat at Woodcraft. It's a mat that you put by your workbench to save on your feet. And what I did was I just patterned this up and cut it out, and I used those. These are those Christmas tree fasteners that you could get at auto parts store, and I just put them into the holes there. So I patterned it, and I went around the speed control lever here and around that bolt, and I did the other side too. So I think it came out pretty nice. You could take this up whenever you want and clean under there, but it'll save on scratching the paint up and stuff. So I'll just show you the mats there. So we're almost done with this first part, the video on changing the engine oil and the filter. And I'll come over here. This is it's almost 6 quarts of oil that came out of there. And I already showed you this pan here. There's just a few specks in there. Nothing major. I guess that's what you would expect to see. And there's a couple of specks in here. The big specks in there, I looked at them. Those are the paint that came off of that drain plug, so that's not a big deal. And then here's my paint strainer here. This is the debris that came out of that. So I guess that's why you do the first oil change at 50 hours, to get all that stuff out of the new engine, so you're not running it for another 100 or 200 hours. And then the last thing I like to mention is the oil that I put in there. The manual recommends, and Kubota recommends, 10W30, but all the dealers around here in the Midwest, I'm in Michigan, they put 1540 in there, and that's because of the seasonal changes, the hot weather in the summer, and then the cold in the winter. So the weather changes is why they recommend that everyone uses that 10W40 or 1540. So that'll do it on the first step of the 50-hour engine or the 50-hour fluid and filter change. That'll do it on changing the engine oil and filter on the L3400. All right.